The NFL top five coaching vacancies. A lot of coaches got fired. We saw the Texans fire David Culley. The Jaguars let go of Urban Meyer earlier than week 18. A lot of teams need head coaches. These are the top five jobs open. There's about seven or eight. But let's start off at number five with the Minnesota Vikings. So they fired Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, and they have a pretty good roster already. It's not like they're one of the worst teams in the league. They were 8-9. They just missed out on the postseason. They have Kirk Cousins at QB. I mean, the new coach coming in will probably likely keep him, but he might have to draft a new quarterback if he doesn't like him enough to keep him for the future. But they have no cap space. That's the big problem with them. But as I mentioned earlier, good roster. Dalvin Cook is one of their core players. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. They got some cornerstones on the defense like Daniil Hunter, Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks. But the problem is the new head coach is going to have to fix the defense. They were 30th in the NFL this season. They were really bad. The defense was the reason why they lost games. I mean, this offense with Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, it's so dynamic. They can put up a lot of points quickly, but they just could not get stops, and which led them to their 8-9 record. They cannot get off the field late in games. Coming in at number four, the Las Vegas Raiders. Fresh off of a playoff appearance where they went 10-7, they did lose the Bengals, but I do think this job is pretty good. They do have a new stadium built, and their roster isn't so bad. I mean, they won 10 games in the competitive AFC West. They do have 38 million in cap space next season. They have Derek Carr returning. At least you have a franchise quarterback. You sort of know what you're getting with Derek Carr, so there's no questions to be asked there. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, other great offensive core players for the Raiders. And they had a pretty good offensive line this year. Colton Miller, Casey Hayward on the defense. Max Crosby obviously was a monster this season. So they do have a lot of pieces, and they have 10 wins. And they're definitely better than the Broncos. And if you think they could add a few more pieces to even separate themselves even more from the LA Chargers, and this is a pretty good job. They fired Mike Mayock recently after John Gruden was let go week 6. So I do think this is an intriguing job, especially if Russell Wilson or some other quarterback wants to request a trade there, like Aaron Rodgers. This job is very intriguing to me, so that is why it's at number 4. At number 3, it is the New York Giants. This is an intriguing job. I mean, it's in New York City. I'm not saying New York City, but New Jersey. But they are an historic franchise, 4 Super Bowls. They've been a classy organization throughout all these years. But they do have a lot of nice draft picks. I mean, Daniel Jones, if you think he is your quarterback, you can stick with him for another year, or you can maybe trade up and draft someone this season. The Giants have the 5th and the 7th overall selections, the 36th pick. John Mara is a great owner, one of the best owners in the NFL, so you have that going for you. And they do need a new GM, so that position is also open. But they've sort of generational talent in Saquon Barkley. If he's healthy and he's on the field, the Giants are a much better football team. They do have Andrew Thomas, who was a great left tackle here, so you don't have to worry about that. And the defense is not that bad with other core players like James Bradbury, Blake Martinez. So, but the problem with this team is they have no cap space, not much wiggle room, but you do have a lot of draft picks, and you're in New York City, so you do have sort of a bigger salary cap budget compared to other teams, rather normally. But Giants number 3, this job is very intriguing. Maybe we'll see Jim Harbaugh make the move and leave Michigan to head to New York, but we'll just have to wait and see. Number 2, the Denver Broncos. This team is sort of like the Raiders as they do play in the AFC West. But the problem with this team is they need a quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, not the future. Drew Lock is not very good. They do have the 9th overall pick upcoming. But the thing that intrigues me is this team already has an elite defense. They were top 5 in defense according to PFF. Bradley Chubb, Patrick Surtain, Justin Simmons. They got players on both sides of the ball. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, Javonte Williams, the rookie out of North Carolina, was a stud towards the end of the season. And they have 48 million cap space. For me, this is a historic franchise. John Elway's a pretty good owner. They do have an awesome defense and a lot of cap space. All you need to do is figure out the quarterback, and you're a playoff team. This team is not even close to the dumps. They were a 7-win team this year, and I do think with the right coach and quarterback, they could be an 11, 12-win team and a playoff contender. Coming in at number 1, you're probably all wondering why this team is number 1. What is the Jacksonville Jaguars? I know they fired Urban Meyer. I know they have a terrible team, and they have the first overall pick for the second season in a row. But they do have some players that are pretty solid on this team, like Josh Allen, DJ Chark, Travis Etienne, the running back out of Clemson, who did not play due to a torn ACL in training camp. But the thing that makes this job the best is Trevor Lawrence. The first overall pick last year, I mean, he only had 3,600 yards, 12 TDs, 17 picks. That is not good. But if you're the coach, Trevor Lawrence is, a lot of people think he was sort of like an Andrew Luck type prospect coming out of can't miss, a future Hall of Famer. And if you're the coach and you can get this right, that would be historic. They do have the first overall pick again this year, so that is another stud player you can draft. And you have the 33rd overall pick in the second round, and the third, and a lot of high picks in the other rounds. But the big thing that intrigues me is Trevor Lawrence and 72 million in cap space. So many free agents. This roster could be built from the ground up. It's all yours. You basically, if you're the head coach, you can control most of the moves this team makes, and you have a stud quarterback. As if you can coach him up right, Trevor Lawrence should be a bona fide superstar in the NFL. So that is why I think it's the best job. You got the quarterback, the first overall pick, and the cap space. That is the most intriguing job in the NFL, and I think that job will get hired very soon.